Well, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, most importantly, family and friends, thank you all for being here. Truly appreciate it. This is just going to be an open, honest conversation on a beautiful Saturday morning where we are here to pour light, love, and happiness into anyone, answer some questions, maybe heal some trauma, but just really assist each and every one of you along with each other to be an amazing individual and, more importantly, to have an inspiring and divine relationship. I think we all know the power that a relationship truly brings. And when you have one that is both connected and heart guided, but also purpose driven, it makes everything else so much easier. And I've heard some really weird things in my life when it comes to not only relationships, but specifically marriage. And about 8 months ago, I attended a wedding. And in that wedding, the opening remarks, the very, very first statement was, marriage is hard. Takes a lot of work. Takes a lot of commitment. Takes a lot of sacrifice. You've got to really, really give up all the things that you want to give to the other person, make them happy, and then maybe at some point you too will find your happiness. And I just felt that that was a version of the world. I don't think there's anything wrong with that version. I think that that is a very normal societal version, but we would like to present to you potentially and hopefully a different glimpse into what is available for every single person here. Something that each and every one of you that's watching live or potentially on a recording, something that's available to you. And both myself and my perfect wife invited a couple that we look up to tremendously. And that is Kelly and Josh Brock. And Kelly and Josh have been married 400,000 years. That's at least in my opinion.
Legit.
400,000 years. But what's great is when I met them, this is true, I didn't know they had kids because I thought they were newlywed. I thought they had been married maybe a year, max 2, because they're both in great shape. They both really cared about each other. They said amazing words about each other. They didn't fight at all. And they were just so full of love and zest. And when I found out that they were married 21 years, I was truly blown away. So my goal is to just get everyone on this call to just understand a little bit more about how we can open up our hearts and heal some past traumas and allow an incredible relationship to form with both yourself and hopefully that perfect partner that is waiting for you just weeks, days, or months away. Svet?
It's absolute honor and privilege, and we love being with all of you. Jeremy, you just gave such a great start to what we are here about today. And we will be sharing some stories of most important times in our lives that were quite triggering in a way and could have destroyed the relationships that we had, even though it was amazing and beautiful. And what it took and what kind of mastery within ourselves and mindset and a heart set and divine set it took to recenter in order to address the situation that was presented with love and care rather than going into the panic or fear and destroying what's possibly can be, and for us definitely was one of the most beautiful things that happened in our lives. And with that, I would like to ask Kelly and Josh to share just a few things, and I believe you have a story to share.
Yeah, we're wildly honored to be here just to share hopefully something that we've been through, something we've learned that might add value to the valuable relationships you all want in your lives. The brief history between us is we were born and we found each other and we've been together ever since. No, we started dating at 14 and 15 and we've literally been together 21 years. We have been married, was this 11? Yeah.
11.
I just had our 11th anniversary And that means we've gone through every stage of being wildly insecure teenagers to newlyweds in our 20s, to becoming parents, to starting businesses. And we've navigated lots of really hard times and learned some lessons that maybe people learn in other seasons of life. We still have more to learn, but we just hope to, again, just add some value to you all today. So we'll share a little bit more about our story. But I know that relationships, my friend Tiffany is on here and she says, relationships are the wealth of life. We all have this unique and innate desire to be connected to other people. And when we are disconnected, we feel a suffering. We feel this sense of loss and lack. And in our most important relationships with ourselves, with our spouses, or our, the people we're dating, even our children, our parents, when that is not healthy, whole, and complete, we have a sense of something's missing, this potential that's not being tapped into that I know is here. And so we just really want to speak some sense of life into you all so that you can take one thing could be said today and it could shift the way you see yourself and your reality. And so we just hope to bring this from a place of abundance and love and hope that it counts for you all today. I know so much has shifted for Josh and I in a big way in this last year. So anything you want to add before I know we're going to share some stories, but anything you want to add before we get started?
Super grateful to be here. Any opportunity I have to hang out with Jeremy Newsom and Svet, either virtually or in person, I will always accept that. But great to see so many familiar faces on here, people I love. And any time that we can come together as a group and enrich each other's lives is such a beautiful thing. So just really happy to be here.
Ready.
My man. So the story I'm going to tell everyone is one that involves me about 4 to 5 years ago. And in that moment in my life, I was terrified of something that many of you will be familiar with: commitment. Now, when I said I was afraid of commitment, like I knew in my soul that was my number one fear. My number one fear. And I think that there is a reason that people are afraid of commitment. Commitment means a lifelong endeavor. It means something that is permanent. It means something that is unwavering, unshaking, and is there always. And when we're talking about the finality of human existence, forever or always or committing can scare a lot of people. And what I was doing was I was living a life of settling. Because when you are afraid of commitment, you never do anything worthy of commitment. Let that sink in for just a moment, right? When you are afraid of it, you never do anything that is so incredible that you are happy to commit to that task, to that idea, to that relationship, to that belief, to that company, to that business. But the amazing and ironic part is when you have a fear of commitment, like I did, there are certain things that you will commit to. Things that are normal, things that are average, things that are what the vast majority of people will live with. So you'll have your daily routine that you will do over and over, that you will repeat Monday through Friday, the same things, the same tasks, the same drive, the same food, the same people, the same beer, the same experience over and over and over again. The same shirt on Saturdays. You lose a certain flair and flavor and excitement of life because you're afraid of commitment. And that fear, to me, represented settling into a relationship that I was not extremely, perfectly, and adequately happy in. I describe this relationship as very good. And I would say that to people. When people ask me, hey, how's things going? I would say, they're going really good. Things are good. This is it's a good relationship. She's a really nice person. She's so caring and she's so supportive. There were so many qualities about this person that I admired deeply. But there was something missing. And I was terrified to ask of that thing that was missing because I also did not have it. And that's why I was terrified of asking for it. Because how can you expect someone else in a relationship to do something that you haven't done? It was terrifying for me to really, really ask of something magnificent. And I'm looking through really quick the list of individuals who are here just to see if I invited my counselor who was helping at the time. Her name is Libby. Beautiful woman, so sincere and so sweet. And I had a conversation with her. It went something like this. She said, Jeremy, how do you feel about your relationship today? Because the relationship was something that we discussed frequently. What I would generally do is I would find myself at night or on the weekends figuring out a way to have just a little bit of alcohol so that subconsciously I could numb the pain of the relationship that I was in. So subconsciously I could just dampen my light just a little bit so that I didn't have to shine so bright that people could see me. When I realized that I was doing that, and I told Libby, I said, Libby, I feel like there's something more out there for me, but if I break off this relationship, I'm going to be an asshole. She is not going to like me anymore. I'm going to be a mean person. And then she asked me this question. She says, 40 years from now, are you with her? And I didn't say anything. That's fear. That hesitation, that pause is gripping. It's terrifying. In silence, if you're writing this down, feel free to take notes. In silence, we often hear the most. That was a message to me where I was like, oh my gosh, I know I'm settling, but I'm terrified of really asking for what I want, because if I get what I want, if I really, really strive for it, that would make me stand out. That would make me selfish. That would make me one of a kind. That would make me unique. That would make me a weirdo. I had all these fun limiting beliefs that were going through my mind about what it meant for me to have something remarkable and spectacular and terrific. So I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but next, Libby said, I want you to write down your perfect woman, like come up with a vision and then find out someone who might fit that category, someone in the world that actually exists, another human being. So I wrote down a 6-page letter, 6 pages of notes of the exact woman that I wanted to be with in my life, right? Wrote down specific, incredible, very specific details, and then went and found someone that I thought would be that person. And some of those characteristics sounded like she is admired by her friends. She is a leader in her industry. Everyone loves and appreciates and respects her. I listen to her. I care about her. I cannot have enough of her presence and her essence. I need her in my life. And when she is gone, I feel like my entire heart is missing from my body. And so I went and just looked for random people that this might fit. And I stumbled across a very famous actress, Jessica Biel. Type a quick 1 into the chat pane if you know who Jessica Biel is. Now, this was just my vision of, oh my gosh, okay, stunning actress. She's beautiful, right? She's tall. I think she's attractive physically. She has a lot going for her. I think a lot of people could agree on that. But I said to myself, how could I attract someone like Jessica Biel? Because at the time, I think she was married to Justin Timberlake. It's irrelevant. I wasn't going after Jessica Biel. It was just a lady that represented someone of power and of femininity, someone that was really, really strong and just, right, she owned it. And I said, how could little me be with that queen? And I had to do something that most men and most women are terrified of doing. I had to change dramatically internally. It had nothing to do with external. It was a lot of inside work, the inside work that people are terrified of doing because it's weird and there's no actual tangible results. It's not like I'm going and buying a car and I get in the car and I can drive it home. Like when you do work internally, you can't feel it or see it immediately. Like there's these things, but there's these little releases that begin to happen. And within a few weeks of doing all this internal work, the internal work that most people are terrified of, which included therapy sessions like EMDR. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but I went to an EMDR therapist. I sat down on the couch, right? I did the crying thing. I talked about my past. I talked about my parents. I talked about my dad and how my relationship with him wasn't perfect. And I talked about all the death and the tragedy and the pain that was in my life. Things I had never done before. I hadn't really talked to anyone because I'm a man. Men don't talk about their feelings. That's pathetic. We're strong. We carry the world on our back. We don't need to express how we're feeling. That's the internal work that I had to do. I had to realize what empathy was and how to empathize with other people. And better yet, how to understand what I was feeling and then communicate it with words other than I'm fine, and I'm good, and I'm okay. So I know there's not tons of men on this call, but if you are listening, you do know that's probably true. Is that a lot of our men, a lot of the men in this world, we hold this weight that we are unable to share because we don't know how. And that was the type of work that I did. And within a few weeks and a few months after doing all this internal work, I started checking off this list as I reconnected with my wife. And I still had work to do. She still had work to do, but we did it together. And when I realized, when I sat down and actually went, wait a minute, the very first sentence of that perfect woman said, she needs to have a crazy, weird, cool name. That was the very first sentence. She needs to have something weird, unique, and like exceptional. I was like, oh man, oh wow, this is it. And I want to share something for the next 20 seconds with everyone here. There was a point in my life where I felt truly like I would never be satisfied. I would never be satiated. If I got into a relationship, I would end up cheating or craving other women's time, physical attention, or intimacy because there's no way I could ever actually have everything that I wanted. Because if I did that, I would be greedy and I'd be a horrible human being because that's just a standard that no one else, it's not even reasonable. You can't have everything you want. And now I do. And I am satisfied. And I don't crave other women's attention or other physical interactions with women. Like it was this awakening of me that, wait a minute, I just have to love me a lot and figure out how to translate that love to being into another vessel with the person that I share love with. And that was massively transformative for me and continues to be, because Svet is the most powerful person that I've ever met. And it's my current life mission to make sure that everyone interacts with her in some way because she's remarkable. So that's another reason that we're doing this, is because I want everyone here, a lot of my friends, a lot of Kelly's friends, a lot of her friends, to just know more about how wonderful Svet is, because she has a gift that I don't, nor have I encountered anywhere else in the world. She can actually heal you. Right? She had a healing. That was one of the ways that we connected. She actually got rid of my pain and the barriers and the things that were holding me back. Imagine running a marathon or 10 miles or whatever with a pebble in your shoe. She removed all of my pebbles and gave me new socks.
A lot of those by now.
And what's amazing is that's actually she's also physically giving me new socks as well. Like, emotionally and physically new socks. So now I can run faster. And I want everyone on this call to have that same feeling because I know it's available. I did not believe in soulmates. I did not believe in marriage. I did not believe in commitment. I was the guy that was like, oh, marriage is this thing that was created in the 1430s for ownership, right? I own her and then she gets a thing and then like, there's dowries and it's a religious thing and like marriage is stupid. There's no reason to get married. I was that guy. That was me. I was like, people, there's no need to get married. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. There's no reason to do it. This is dumb. Why? Why get married? That was me.
What changed for you? Why did you decide I want to get married now?
Because I found perfection. When all the obstacles were removed and like, this is exactly what you asked for. Exactly. Most people do not take the time to get extremely, extremely clear. Have you ever heard the term, be careful what you wish for? Yeah, because it's going to come true if you wish for hard enough and if you're aligned enough. I'm very happy that it did. I love you so much. So, story number one. We have 3 more to go. I'm going to pass the baton to Kelly, and then Kelly's going to pass the baton to her perfect husband, Josh. Who's one of my best friends, by the way.
He didn't put on his name tag,
Yes.
Jeremy Dusty. we want you all to know. I was just sitting here thinking, I'm going to tell a story that is my story. I'm going to talk about the same relationship we were both in, but I experienced it different than him. And what I think is important to know is your experience is real, and so is theirs. And so when I tell this story, it is absolutely, it's funny. There have been times Josh is like, that's not how that went at all. It's like, but that's how I experienced it. I was living in a whole different reality from an internal relationship that he wasn't experiencing. So I just want to say that and make that here because, like I said, Josh and I have been together a really long time. And if you cannot tell already by the way we just physically are, we are very different. He's covered in tattoos. He's wildly rugged. He could care less what you all think. And I'm over here with my straightened hair and polished and professional and all stuff. Like we are yin and yang. We have always been like, you are interesting. You are so different than me. We have been wildly attracted to each other for that way. It has been our, greatest, like, you fascinate me. And also like, I don't understand you. You're so different than me. We are not alike. We are not alike. And so when growing up and being in a relationship together, why I'm saying this is because the stories we tell become true. You can tell yourself a good story or you can tell yourself a bad story. And whatever you tell, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So one of the stories that I told about Josh, the minute he kissed me, I was like, I'm gonna marry him. I'm gonna marry him. We're gonna be together for the rest of our lives. We're gonna have a love story like nobody else. And I believe we have lived out that love story. Every time we were in a hard time, I believe we were in the middle of a challenge in our love story. There was never this, so where Jeremy was afraid of commitment, I was like, I met you at 14, I'm committed. Like if you asked me today, I'd say yes. My parents were like, what's wrong with this girl? But my point is I told that really good story and it became the way I showed up in our relationship. 100,000% commitment I'm in. So every time there was a hard time, there was no leaving energy. There was just, this is a hard time in our story. The same can be true for the stories I told about our relationship that I believed that made things harder. And one of those stories was that I needed him to change so I could be happy. I am a focused, powerful, strong woman. I've always known my life was going to be leadership in this world. And I was very achievement driven. And I always saw Josh as this, like, if you could just change, we could be better. if you would just support me more, I could be more successful. If you just made more money, I wouldn't have to work so hard. If you, then I can. I was constantly giving my power outside of myself, needing him to change. And so there was a long period of our life that I would say I had pushing energy towards him. Let's go to church. Let's go do these things. Let's go all these things so I could change him, so that I could have the future that I saw, that vision of my reality I wanted, meant he needed to be different to be in it. So there was this pushing energy that shifted, and I shifted into an energy of acceptance. Kind of hands back. That was a good dynamic. That was a good next best step for me. I'm going to stop trying to change him. I'm just going to accept him as he is. So then there was less tension. I started just accepting what was. But then I realized I'm not living the life that I want. This still isn't it. Accepting this version of who we are is still not enough. And I started to write down, if I was to show up as the best version of myself in the future that I desire, in the marriage of my dreams, the purpose and the impact and all the things, what would it look like? And I started to write down 10 affirmations every single morning that if they were true, I would by default be living in the reality of my dreams. And one of the things that I wrote down was, I'm an intentional and exceptional wife. If we had the marriage of our dreams, I'm intentional and exceptional. And so then I would ask myself the next question, and how will I show up as her today? And I was like, no. She's so patient. She's so kind. She's so loving. She goes first. I kept waiting for Josh to love me well first. I kept waiting for him to think of me first. I kept waiting for him to be all these things. And I realized she did it, whether he did or not. And so it's funny, Josh had this frying pan. He cooked eggs every single morning. And for some reason, he likes to cook them at a degree that they burn. And so the pan needs to soak. It needs to soak in some water, he knows. And so this pan, every day I'd work at home and he'd go to work. And all day long, I'd come into the kitchen and see this pan soaking in the sink. And I'd be like, why does he hate me? Why does he hate me? How many times have we had to talk about the damn pan and he won't clean it? He won't clean it.
Clean the pan.
And so it's real. And so by 5 p.m. when he would walk in the door, I would be like waiting to talk to him about the pan he left again. Waiting. Like, and he's like, what the hell just happened? Like my energy's been rising all day for this moment to talk to him about how he can't do this one little thing to make me happy, blah, blah. So as I started to say, I have to stop waiting for him. I have to start being the version of myself I want to be. I said, I'm an intentional, exceptional wife. And I was like, no. She doesn't just not complain about the pan. She washes it for him. She doesn't just wash the pan like this, like, oh, I'm going to show him the dry pan in the rack when he gets home. I'm going to make sure he sees it. No, she goes, thank you for this good man. How lucky I am to have a man that eats healthy, who goes to work, who loves me. Thank you, as she washes the pan. And y'all, I know that sounds so stupid and silly. It was game-changing for me. Because it's not about what you do, it's who you are being when you do it. And so I decided to bring an energy to my marriage that said, I love you anyway. I love you first. I started to say, I have to love myself, whether you're going to love me in the way that I want to. I had to stop waiting for him to give me the things that I wanted. I had to be them for myself. And that was hard, you guys. There's a book called The Dance of Anger. And it talks about how in every relationship with your children, with your parents, with your spouse, friendships, you have a dynamic. And when someone steps out of that and goes, hey, I don't want to dance like this anymore, this other person's going to be like, excuse me, kick back in. I don't know what to do when you're patient now. So, what is this? Oh, you meditate now? And I'm like, yes, I do. I meditate now. And I'm patient and I'm kind and I'm all these things. But it was interesting because I remember this one time we had a fight and I was like, I don't want to fight right now. And I was like, I need to go to the other room. And I remember he followed me to the other room, like, what? But it was these tiny little imperceivable shifts, you guys, where I kept realigning to the woman I said I want to be, to the life that I want to have, whether he's with me or not now. And that was a miracle. Like, he wasn't like, I love you, here, let me be all the things you've ever wanted in weeks. It just was that first there was less tension. Like, hey, do you want to go do this thing? And he'd be like, yeah, wow, that's really thoughtful. And all of a sudden he would want to return. So interesting how giving and receiving goes. I had been waiting, such lacking energy, but I was like, hey, I see you. Hey, I see you. And he was like, okay, hey, I see you back. Whether he was conscious of it or not, we started shifting in that dynamic. And so what ended up happening was we ended up really having such conscious, loving shifts in our relationship. And by me changing myself, I can't tell you what day it happened, but we became different. Because it was one little moment at a time. And all of a sudden he started becoming a more loving and patient and intentional person. We were able to start having actually bigger conversations about our life. I remember one day I was like, what do you want for your future? And he was like, I don't know. I mean, this is already more than I could have imagined. And I was like, how can I be with someone who doesn't know where they want to go? But at that point in time, he didn't know how to dream bigger. So for me to expect that from him on day one, he's asking himself a big question. It was too much. So I just thought, okay, one day at a time, one day at a time. And what I want to share is that when we change our inner worlds, our outer worlds will respond. And if you believe me in that, and if you know it's inevitable, does it matter how long it takes? All of a sudden, it didn't matter. If all of a sudden I was internally happy, I was internally generous, I was internally, although it was challenging, don't get me wrong, I was already starting to live the life I wanted to live for me now. And it was affecting and releasing him from needing to be anything in any certain amount of time. And as soon as I started to release that, I mean, I would say over the last 2.5 years, we're night and day different in our lives and what we expect. Josh is one of the most powerful and brilliant and intentional and kind and impactful presences you will ever meet. If you get the opportunity to be in his space, he has a presence that overtakes you
100%.
in the best way. Say that again.
100%.
100%. And that was something that opened up and opened up and opened up on its own beautiful timing. And so I want to just share that if you have someone in your life, you want them to change you.
Uh-oh.
If someone in your life that you want them to change you. All we can ever do is change ourselves and affect the people around us. Their change has to always be internal and for themselves. And so I've watched Josh open up and become a man. Actually, I'm going to be honest, he is better than I dreamed of. He is more than I could have put on paper. He is, and I feel like we're just beginning. Every day I'm just like, wow, you're amazing. Like, tell me about you, because I didn't know this was possible. It's so beautiful. And to watch him love his life and show up differently in all the places he is, it's just incredible. But if you want to change someone in your world, change yourself.
Love that.
And it starts with personal responsibility. And I know even that personal responsibility has changed the way Josh has shown up.
You know what I love about that story, Kelly, is two things. Number one, the vulnerability and transparency, but number two, telling that story from a female perspective and from a divine feminine perspective. A lot of women are waiting for the man to be that knight in shining armor.
Mm.
They're like, hey, man, do the thing that you're supposed to do. Like, go out, kill the buffalo, bring it to the thing, kill it, skin it, feed me. But what if they're sick? What if they're injured? What if they're hurt? What if they don't know how?
Mm.
Is it okay for a woman to rise up and pull the man? Of course. Like that better happen. If that doesn't happen, like what are you doing in that relationship? Get pulled by both parties. And I love that you stepped up and did that. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear Josh's perspective or his
Yeah.
story on
On a frying pan.
that's right.
Yeah,
You still have that frying pan, Josh?
Oh, I do.
we've had to get a couple new ones
Yeah.
because he still burns the eggs.
Yeah, same.
And now I just see it and I laugh. It's just always there. Still. But can I make a point? The pan is still here, y'all. This still happens. This has been 4.5 years proactively. So what changed? The energy I brought to my own experience. My circumstances have not changed even in that one little example, but I don't care anymore. I laugh. I just go, oh, that's like you even saying that. I'm like, oh yeah, we still have pans sitting sometimes. Like, but I changed my experience.
Yeah.
With the same thing. The circumstance didn't change. I changed. So Josh's turn.
Yeah, y'all, I'm hella confused right now. I don't know if I should talk or go clean my pants. Time is blushing, you know, blush all. But it's I'll kind of echo what Kel was speaking about, and that is with changing yourself first, being intentional about growing as a person, realizing the areas where you do need to grow and where you do need to improve, not only for yourself, but for people around you. A story I'm going to share actually involves my son, one of my absolutely favorite people in this world. Such a beautiful person. But for 3 years of his life, he's only 4. For 3 years of his life, I actually missed out on that. He is extremely emotional. And some of you know my story, some of you don't. I was essentially the man of my house from a very, very early age as my father was dying from cancer. And I was taught by men around me that as a man, you don't show emotion. As a man, you don't cry. You're not allowed to have weakness or show weakness. And it's something that I carried with me for years. And I have a daughter who's a little bit older than my son, who's so mentally strong. Like she could get any kind of injury and she may cry for a minute, but she bounces back super quick. And then I have my son that he could, stub his toe on something and man, it's waterworks. We're crying. We need to be held. It's crazy. It's crazy. And forever, I did not know how to deal with that. And it drove me nuts because I'm sitting here thinking like my daughter's more mentally tough than my son. And I did not know how to change it. I kept trying to beat the square peg into a circle hole. And all I was doing by doing that was creating space between me and my son. And that's not what I wanted. I had an amazing father, and I wanted to mirror that relationship with my own kids. So I started to change myself, and I came to the realization of, dude, he's 3. He's 3. He has no idea what he's doing. It's on you to teach him. It's on you to connect him. It's on you to understand what his language is that he can understand and accept, right? And at the end of the day, regardless of the message being taught or given, it should always be love and joy. And that's the main thing is I want my kids to understand that I cherish them. I love them. The only thing more important than them in my life is Kel. And I want them to feel that. So I began to shift the way I responded to him. Instead of it frustrating me, I would change my perspective and look at how I could empower him, look at how I could comfort him, because I want to be his shelter. And in doing that and changing my reactions, my responses, my delivery to him, it's completely changed our relationship. Like I actually just flew back in last night. I've been gone for 10 days. And before I left, I had to sit and hold my son because he was crying because I was leaving and he didn't want me to leave again. And it's just such a beautiful relationship. And now instead of it frustrating me, like, man, I have such a sensitive boy, I love it. I
Mhm.
love it, man. I love like has such a beautiful spirit and is such a gift to me. And to be able to enjoy him in his natural organic self and not only be okay with it, but love it, it's such a beautiful thing. And all it took was just being intentional and shifting your perspective on it. So
Yeah, and I watched Josh intentionally call upon some of the tools that he's done in his own inner work to say, how can I meditate on this version of me in the morning? I mean, you really sit and set intention. And if there are times where he gets overwhelmed, like he'll notice himself now getting reactive, like his whole energy will change to anger, and he'll be like, I need a minute. And he'll go away and he'll meditate and he'll come back out and he will immediately respond with love. And so it's been cool to watch Josh. There's this old version of us that rises. It's still default in us. And so he's called on these tools to say, like, how can I settle that one down to tap into the one I really want to be? You do this all the time. He will step away, meditate, come back to himself, shift into love, and then he will walk right out of our bedroom doors. We have these two doors. It'll open it and it'll go straight to Rainer or to our daughter and be shifted. It's like a miracle happened behind these doors. He just went away for 7 minutes, came back, and he shifted and responded with love. Or he is so fast to apologize. I'm sorry. I should not have responded that way. You know, I love you. And to watch the way that that's affected our kids and anyone else who's a parent here, gosh, it is like so freaking scary to have children. We're just like, please don't let me mess them up. Like, please, oh gosh, we're so afraid of messing them up. And you know what I love that they see in Josh is they watch him be human and correct. Watch him be human and correct. And so they have less of a posture of needing to be something to be loved by him. They're going, oh, this is what happens. And how can we make it right in ourselves and for each other?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I would say too, for the fathers or women, mothers, it's, you know, it's super important. I was raised, like I said, not to show emotions and was taught like this is what manliness looks like. You don't cry. You're not vulnerable. You're a stone, man. But after working and sitting through it, man, it sets you in such a negative place if you operate like that. Emotions are powerful. Emotions need to be experienced. Emotions need to be shared. Like with Kel and my kids, I want to be such a vulnerable person. I want them to experience what I'm experiencing, not only so they can understand me, but so they can help me, and vice versa. And that's what life's about, is being your true self. And it's such a cool thing to raise kids with that in mind and being intentional about allowing them to be who they're designed to be. And not only supporting that, but loving it and being grateful for it. Like it's so cool, man. And I do want to say one thing before I pass the mic to Sped. I forgot to mention Jeremy Alexander Newsom. Some of you may know him as one of my best friends.
Love you, bro. Love you, man. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
beautiful story because Josh and I mean, we connect on a million different things, but that's a reason for sure. And that, like, we grew up in that very similar don't cry. And when you see really powerful men who you admire and look up to shed that tear in front of everyone just vulnerably, it can rock your world and bring on massive changes. And I'm very excited to see you be the best dad in the world, Josh, for all of your children. So thanks for sharing that, man. Baby girl.
So I would like to share with you a story about me overcoming myself again and again. Many of you know me from my Limitless Creators Dreams course. I share there how I used the rules of manifesting to bring my dream man into my life. And some people think, oh, wow, Svetlana, it's so amazing and it's so easy. You just like, brought him out and works through everything. And pop, here he came. So kinda. But for 6 months, I had to become another woman, a different woman, a woman that didn't exist yet when I was creating my dream man. And similar to what Jeremy was sharing, that he had to become a different person, I had to become a different person as well. Because I call her my dark feminine psyche, I call her crazy, psychotic, neurotic bitch. She existed. And she could not attract the man of honor, incredible values, grace, that is loved and admired by the world, because a man of such honor and value would not end up with a woman like her. So I had to sit with myself times and times again, not to sell out to the things that were comfortable, or to the ways that I knew how to do, not to go out on a dates with a man who were not that type of man, who I knew they were just, nice and shiny little thing, but they were not the man that I inspired to be with. And I was working so hard on becoming that woman. But the biggest test happened when we already met each other and we were dating and we were in a relationship for a few years. And I started feeling this energy of insecurity rising in me, that energy of jealousy rising in me. And I recognized that, wow, if I don't really process this energy right now, something horrible can happen. Because if I allow that old version of me to show up, and that old version of me, or that dark feminine way of mine, is very destructive, right? It is a destructive wild woman that will destroy the whole city just because she feels like it. And I knew of that part of me, that she also is available. And finding myself at that moment and going deep inside and saying, time out, time out. You are losing yourself. You are losing your divinity. You're getting into madness. Sitting down and crying and meditating and calling on divine, calling on the hell, because at that moment I felt weak. At that moment I felt like maybe I cannot bring all of the truest essence of my light forward. And I had to sit just a little bit longer, and then to sit just a little bit longer. And then I remember coming up from that meditation saying, okay, what is truly hurting? And I wrote everything out, all of the insecurities that I had. And then I had to remind myself, I am not that woman any longer. What is it true about me? And the biggest thing was that I would never betray myself again. And I would never leave myself again. Even though he would choose to go, even if he choose to leave, even if any man in the world would choose to disconnect, I would not disconnect from me. I would not leave myself. I would not abandon myself. I would be always there for me. I would love me. I would appreciate me, and I would accept me completely, fully, and unapologetically. And that's really what my soul needed. A lot of times the pain and the sorrow that we had is from that relationship when someone abandoned us. But it's not that that person abandoned us, it's that we abandoned ourselves at that moment. Yes, he walked away, but you said, I deserve that. I'm not good enough. Of course I am abandoned. And you at that moment abandoned yourself. And that is where the deep, dark hole was created. And it is about you coming back to you and saying, I would never abandon myself, no matter what the world does, no matter where the world goes, no matter where men or women in my life go. Me, I would always love myself, heal myself, be gentle with myself, be kind with myself, be allowed and be accepted. And that's the moment and shift that truly transformed me. I was like, Now I remember who I am, and I am in oneness with me. And I was able to actually have a very beautiful, powerful conversation with my boyfriend at that time. And instead of overreacting or being insecure, saying what was hurting or the way I was seeing the situation. And one of the tools that I use is, this is what I'm seeing, but I might be in madness, I might be blind. Please tell me what you are seeing. Please tell me what is truly going on. Because my perception might be so skewed and so off from the truth, what's happening. And then trusting his essence and trusting his light and trusting his love enough to guide me and saying, hey, this is what's really going on. And if this is in some kind of way hurting or triggering anything, I don't need to do this. Like, oh, what? Like, I saw that it's this way or that way or whatever else. And that opening and gentleness completely came in. So I know there are so many women here and a few wonderful men. And I want to really remind you, please do not you ever abandon yourself, find yourself. When you find that crazy neurotic psychotic bitch, right? The dark feminine psyche or dark masculine psyche, and the women that I work with, they have a name for her. I don't, oh, she's coming out. And I teach them love on her, because if you keep her in a closet, she will be knocking in a closet. She will come out with such a force. You don't want that. You want to have a relationship with her. You want to allow her into your life. So you hold her, you love her, you heal her. That she feels seen. Then she doesn't, then all that energy dissolves and comes into the purpose and comes into order, instead of creating disorder and disbalance in your life. Okay, so my dear friends, make sure that wherever you are at, whatever you're experiencing, that you can tap into your own power, your own essence, remind yourself of your divine light, overcome your old self, because you are committed to this new, beautiful, bright version of yourself. And with that, I would love to invite you into the Divine Relationship Retreat that we are hosting here in our home in Nashville, where we will be creating this beautiful, divine, incredible light version of yourself, where you will get to know what is your dark masculine psyche or dark feminine psyche and how it can take you down, and with the tools to have to realign yourself to your light and to divinity. I just received a download for my life, for my personal life last week. And I want to share that with you because all of you, or some of you might resonate with that. And God, divine, showed to me very clearly the way you live this beautiful, amazing life is through these 3 steps. It is divine light, divine love, and divine life. Without the divine light, there is no divine love. Without divine love, there is no divine life. And if you're focusing on creating this amazing life, this beautiful divine life relationship, but you don't have this way of plugging in and recentering yourself, coming in your divinity, you won't be able to sustain. You might be succeed for a few days or a few months with this whole energy of achieving and striving and redoing yourself, but you are not going to change in a cellular level completely, fully, and completely. Right? And we want to help you to open your heart to the divine love for yourself first. Right? You hear again and again, I changed, the world changed. The world wouldn't change until you do. And you can beat and scream and push as long as you want to, and scream how fair and fair it is and how they all need to change, unless you do no one will. So take that radical responsibility for your life, and we want to help you to open up in this divine love so that you can truly live out this most beautiful, delicious, incredible, just juicy and loving divine life, and have a divine relationship with yourself, with your heart, and with a partner, the partner that you are with, or the partner that you want to attract in the future. Anything you would like to share, Kelly? I love you so much.
I'll let Jeremy share first and then I can share my thought.
Well, to just let everyone know, the biggest goal of this retreat is to heal, to experience both individual healing and group healings, heal past traumas, heal past scars, and remove all those pebbles from your shoe that are probably holding you back in some small way so you can run faster, you can be freer, you can be lighter. And you'll get to experience true power of healing. And that is why we are creating these events in our home. And we're going to be honored and blessed by the appearance of the Brock family and the Brock couple. So Kelly and Josh will be there. So you will be joining all four of us, along with hopefully tons of you who are here or might be watching this recording.
I just wanted to add, it's hard to explain something you have to experience. So I had the privilege of being in Jeremy and Svet's home in February of this year, and Svetlana and I were working on her brand and talking about all these things, and Jeremy walks in with these groceries. He was doing that so Svet could be present with me, and all of a sudden she turns around and she goes, "What can I do to bring you more joy today?" And he was like, he like paused and he was like, I think I'm good. Like, I'm complete. Thank you. And then Svet just came right back to this moment. And I was like, what was that? It shifted me so dramatically to see that there's such an energy of, I love you. How can I be here for you today? That little word, that little question, that's how they live their life. How can I bring you more joy today? I came home and started being like, how can I bring you more joy today? Because I witnessed what a divine relationship at that level of him being a king, her being a queen. We are both whole, equal, and complete. And also we want to be of value to each other. We are so enough in ourselves that I have more than enough to be an extension of abundance to you. And that it was so beautiful. So why I say that is, there's something powerful that happens when people come together with an intention, attention, and energy. To come to an event like this, you could come up and not say a thing and you'll by default be energetically shifted, because you will be experiencing what a room of love and intention and self-care and personal responsibility and healing and opening up. You couldn't actually resist the healing by just being in the room. But if you were to come and to say, I want to walk away radically changed, I want to shift myself in such a powerful way that in a year from now, I'm telling the stories of the ripple effect that happened because I healed the divine light, love, and life in me. So this event, what I know is it is not just for couples. It is not for people who it is for parents. It is for humans. It is for shifting and opening up the divine in you. And that the value add gets to be, you walk into your sacred energy. You get to heal yourself from your past. You get to be free, abundant, whole, and complete to start shifting all the relationships that you show up in. And Svet does this little meditation, and I would invite you to consider it today. You're on a path and you've got two roads. I want you to imagine you don't come to this event. What might this year look like for you? And then I want you to imagine you come. What might your life be like if you take the path that included this healing opportunity to break you open in this way? That's how you know. You will know for yourself if this was a moment in time that today was a blessing enough, or if this was an invitation to a path to change for you. So yeah, we're inviting you all into this opportunity. Josh and I are coming to be participants. We want exceptional. Good is the enemy of great. We want greatness out of our life and our love and our relationships and our impact. So we're privileged to get to be a part of it.
It's going to be an absolute honor to have you there, Kelly, and to respect everyone's time. I told you guys I'll be here an hour, and I know everyone has families, and this is a perfect Saturday, and I love all of you with my whole heart. And when I meet most of you in person, maybe for the very first time, except for Lise. I've met Lise a million times and I love meeting her every single time. We do the best hugs ever. But I want to make sure that everyone else who's here realize one thing, that we are designing this intentionally to create a truly life-altering experience. And it's only 3 weeks away. Since it is a physical building, space is obviously limited, but we do have 7 more spots available for this event if you want to come. It's going to be in October 8th through the 11th. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. This is my personal cell number. I'm sure most of you have it, but if you do not, let me know. So if you are watching the recording, just text me or call me if you would like to join us. And if you're watching here live, I posted the link in the chat pane. But team, this is it. I don't do hard sales pitches. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. It's remarkable. I hope you got some joy. There's a lot of you here that have a lot of stories that you were unable to share. So please do me one huge favor. Join us in October, share your stories, and let us grow together, both financially, relationally, experientially, and most importantly, emotionally and spiritually. I love you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.